So this is another short video. I just wanted to speak shortly about one point that we should keep in mind that may be interesting for you, is that social networks, including Facebook, Instagram, all the bunch, can actually contribute to make us feel quite miserable. And of course, nobody wants to feel miserable, so that's a short explanation about that. So, to understand how social networks may influence our level of happiness or unhappiness, it's interesting to first understand how this happiness thing works. So, according to the Bhagavad-gita, happiness is determined by the amount of desires that one have. So we can imagine this correlation between the amount of desires that one have and the number or the percentage of such desires that one can fulfill. So one that have a lot of desires and can't satisfy practically any of them are going to feel very frustrated and miserable. And on the other hand, one that have fewer desires and can satisfy most of them are going to feel pretty successful, pretty realized. So in relation to that, there is one very interesting study from the Pennsylvania State University, and the conclusion that this study makes is that there is a very strong correlation between the financial level of one's neighbors and his subjective happiness. Subjective happiness means that when you ask a person, "Oh, are you happy?" Can you say from 0 to 10, how much happy you feel? So this is subjective happiness, when a person himself evaluates his happiness. So they made research about that, and they started asking different people and in different conditions to try to understand what conditions make them feel, influences their happiness. And then one of the conditions that they found most strongly correlation is the financial level of the neighbors connected to their own financial level. So one person may make, for example, $30,000 per month or per year in this case. So $30,000 per year is not a bad salary. You can live quite comfortably with this. But if this person lives in a neighbor where most of the neighbors make more money than him and have better houses, better cars, and so on, this person is going to feel pretty unhappy, pretty miserable. And on the other hand, a person that makes the same amount of money, the same $30,000 per year, if he lives in a relatively poor neighbor where the neighbors, they have smaller houses and smaller cars and so on, and he's the one that have a little bit better financial situation, he's actually going to feel very happy despite the income is still the same. So this shows that the level of subjective happiness that people feel, at least in a material conception, is strongly related to how he feels in relationship to others. If he feels that I'm in better condition than others, then he's going to feel quite happy. And if on the other hand he feels that I'm in worse condition than others, more others are having better conditions than me, they have more money than me, they have better families than me, they have better experiences than me, they have better vacations than me, then they are going to feel pretty miserable, regardless of what exactly of their regardless of their social or financial or cultural or whatever level they may have. So that's the point about social networks, because social networks, Facebook and Instagram especially, are places where people always post all these nice photos of their vacations in Thailand. They make selfies of themselves in paradisiac beaches and eating very nice food with nice people, and then this makes other people feel envious because why I'm not the one having vacation in Thailand, why I'm not the one eating in expensive restaurants, why I'm the only one that doesn't have friends, this whole thing. So people compare to these idealized photos that and experiences that people post in the social networks, and they start to feel miserable because they think that other people are much better than me. And this actually may not actually be the case, because people just post all kinds of things, and a lot of times they're not even real. And of course, whatever experiences people have, they try to make them look better. They put all kinds of effects in the photos, and they take different photos and different angles and post the one that is best. And so everyone looks beautiful, living in beautiful places with beautiful friends, and beautiful clothes, beautiful cars, everything beautiful. And this makes people that are seeing this, watching these different videos and seeing these photos, feel pretty miserable, because they feel left out. They feel that everyone is happy, everyone is rich, everyone is having wonderful experiences, and I'm the only one that I'm here seated in my house, in my sofa, watching television without any better perspective in life. And that's how social networks can actually makes us feel pretty miserable. And what we can do about that? The point is that in social networks we can choose what to see. We can choose who we are going to be friends with. We can choose who we are going to follow. So even if someone is our friend, we don't necessarily need to see his posts. We can unfollow him, and then we don't see what he posts, but he's still our friend. So we don't need to unfriend everyone. So you can choose what pages you have, and of course the posts that you like, they also influence the ones that other posts that are Facebook are going to show you, because they tend to show similar posts that the ones that you liked, because they try to understand your interests from there. So when you start being mindful to all these different things, and you start implementing these different points, you can start really filtering what Facebook shows to you, what Instagram shows to you, and then you can start having more videos about spiritual topics, about topics that are going to uplift you, that are going to give you something, that are going to give you some important realization, some important knowledge, instead of just seeing photos of people in paradisiac backgrounds that may actually just make you feel miserable. So that's one important point to keep in mind, and I hope this tip is helpful to you. Hare Krishna.
Bajahure manna Shinandanandana Abhaya Charana Ravindare Bajahure manna Shinandanandana Abhaya Charana Ravindare Bajahure manna Shinandanandana Abhaya Charana Ravindare Bajahure manna Shinanandana Abhaya Charana Ravindare Dulava Manava Janama Satsanye Dulava Manava Janama Satsanye Dulava Manava Janama Satsanye Dulava Manava Janama Satsanye Dorahe Baba Sindhure Dorahe Baba Sindhure Dorahe Baba Sindhure Dorahe Baba Sindhure Sitayatapa Vatavaishana Edina Yamini Jagire Sitayatapa Vatavaishana Edina Yamini Jagire Sitayatapa Vatavaishana Edina jamini jagire Sitarantaka Vatarishana Edina jamini jagire Vipane sevana Vipana durjana Vipane sevana Vipana durjana Vipane sevana Vipana durjana Vipane sevana Vipana durjana Chapala sukala vadagire Chapala sukala vadagire Chapala sukala vadagire Chapala sukala vadagire Vedana jovana putra parijana Deke ache parati tere Vedana jovana putra parijana Deke ache parati tere Vedana jovana putra parijana Deke ache parati tere Vedana jovana putra parijana Niteke asevara kitire Kamala jala jala jivana tagamala 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 Vajahuna jivadani tire Vajahuna jivadani tire Vajahuna jivadani tire Vajahuna jivadani tire Shavana kirtana smarana vandana Padasevana dasyare 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 Pujana saki janatma nivedana Pujana saki janatma